Hello, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to another exciting race in the Swiss rounds. I'm Commander Leonhardt. I'm joined here by Klopfer, and we've got quite a match on hand for us, don't we?
Definitely, it's going to be an exciting one here. We have BursikBadger going up against penguin8r today. Definitely probably a pretty high pressure match here for Badger as he's looking at elimination on this one. But we were talking earlier about how this is a very important match for penguin8r.
Yeah, he's gonna get in, even if he doesn't get past Bursik. But 3, 2, and 1 is gonna leave him in the play-in rounds and on the short end of the stick in at least one of his matches afterwards, and that'll mean he'll have to win twice without his opponent winning any. So he stands to improve his position a lot in the brackets with a win here.
Definitely. So I imagine we'll be seeing really top tier play from both these players. This is an important match for both of them. And looking at our set of objectives here, having to sell those 3 crystal swords by no wait, that can't be right. All right, we have actual objectives.
I just see gibberish down there. So
fair enough.
Some real objectives.
I can hit those first 3, but the 23.7 sirens, that one's a little tricky. But the unfortunate part is you have to finish 4 out of these 5, and I really want to see the first 3. Okay, the real objectives, which means the penguin8r screen here, for those who've seen the other races, the first 3 are always set, and we got our 2 random objectives. So get Sid, defeat Golbez. Oh, that's always a fun boss to get to take on.
Yeah, pretty much wherever you find Golbez, there's a chance for rudeness. There's a few spots that are low enough on magic that you're not going to be impressed, but it's still time consuming. Me, if I was looking at these as a runner, I would really be hoping that defeat Golbez is the one I can leave alone.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with boss hunts, there's a lot of different boss locations, and some of them are just really out of the way locations. So that's another reason sometimes for wanting to just avoid those boss hunts. You don't want to have to go with the giant, just like for a boss and find nothing. That's a big time sink. We don't actually see who the starting character is yet, as we're being shown here a name customization and just hovering on the names. So, who are you hoping to see when you load up the seed?
Cecil, but I'm a Cecil fan. But in all seriousness, without vanilla agility, Cecil's not a bad start character. He might show up with the black sword under C-Neki, but if not, you're going to need some help to get him up ordeals, and once you do that, you have a character with a lot of useful abilities that has a lot of good weapons you might find for him.
Yeah, definitely. It can be really nice to see him, because you kind of just go, well, I do have at least someone who I can bring into the end game here as long as I can finish ordeals. Those crystal swords, as noted earlier, are amazing, as well as objective number 2 there rewards you with an Excalibur. Not quite a crystal sword, but a very strong weapon nonetheless.
Yep, and we now see just before the start that our start character is Yang, which works. Punch Mage needs a lot of levels to get going, and getting him early helps ensure that.
Ooh, and a Magma Key start. That's always interesting, opening up a lot of extra locations right at the beginning here for our runners. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with all this freedom.
Yeah, that's going to make things very interesting. Having Rosa as the second character is a big help too. It's always good to have a white mage, and Rosa in particular has great hit points growth, great magic point growth, and with aim and good physical stats, she can contribute with ways other than white magic.
Yeah, exactly, because Yang, great with levels, but can have a little bit of a rougher start. Like, there's not just the ability to find a great weapon for him and get him going. If you find a good bow and some good arrows, Rosa very well may be able to take out some of those early game bosses for you with that aim command.
And once she's done that, you maybe can get Yang the levels that he needs to stand in front and take the hits and bring the damage as well, because since he doesn't have much in the way of weapons, so much of his damage just comes straight off of weapons.
And speaking of finding a good bow, Bursik finding Samurai Bow, a very strong bow there, also with strength bonus, while penguin8r heads up Hobbs and finding a Porum. whom he's not interested in.
Says, I have a white mage at home. Meanwhile, BursikBadger making a loot check you don't see that often, dipping into the back of Rose's mom's house and finds the heroine robe that she'd been holding on to for her.
Very well rewarded here for doing that extra looting. That samurai bow, that heroine robe, Rosa will actually be doing a lot of damage here.
Yeah, she's got the early ammo on lockdown like you were talking about. That's going to be great for Bursik.
I'm not sure if he actually has any arrows yet. You need at least some stack of arrows, but not too hard to find those, either through some more looting or maybe just make a quick stop in a shop to buy some.
Yeah.
Right. Both runners now heading underground here, making use of that free magma key. And we'll see there's multiple options of things you can do underground. They can go ahead and start doing some more shopping potentially. Those gated shops, especially item shops, have some really nice things to find.
Yeah, we're still on S standard, so we can find level 5 items in gated shops. And typically in the item shops, that means you're chasing the coffins, the sirens, the hourglasses, and the Bacchus wines.
Definitely all top tier items that our runners will be looking for. There's also at least one free key item check that can be done here in the Fey March, as well as go ahead and visit Yang in the bed. We don't have the pan yet, but we'll make a visit to Fabul more rewarding, so that might be worth doing while in the underground.
Penguin8r's gonna visit Job Dwarf's room, find so far a dancing dagger, two other nice things, but does not talk to Job. Ooh.
Well, hopefully we'll get a second check here. He's checking the armor shop, probably looking for a curse ring is what he's hopeful for there.
BursikBadger, hero of the people, but I didn't catch it. A missionary.
That's what I saw as well. Something else. See if Jack can help us out on this one. The item shop, though, I didn't see anything particularly interesting in there. A few extra cure 2s, always nice to have. Some ethers. That could be useful if you get low on mana. Missionary worker. Thank you, chat. Yeah, definitely. When you have access to the underground here, there's some pretty high tier loot locations. Well, relatively high tier. So why not do your looting down here instead of in the overworld?
Yeah, with an early magma, I do like doing what Bursik and Penguin8r are doing and go ahead and get this loot here. There's only one trap chest. If you find it early, you reset out to your save and loot the whole place. But if you don't find it early, you generally accept that you've gotten what you're going to get and move on.
Yeah. Keep going. If you found some good stuff already, then just avoid eating the reset. Just cut your losses. Go ahead and continue into the Fey March.
And this is the typical spot. After the first 2 floors, you just say, we're done here, moving on.
Good enough. Let's go ahead and find out what our key item is instead. Penguin8r does find that trap chest now, so probably now incentivized to loot everything else. Where, ooh, very outing here. Is talking about visiting Yang. Good to find the pan before you do that.
Yeah, that's a great spot to find a pan because this is so often visited early underground, and you now don't have to deal with that dilemma. Granted, at this power level, it's less a dilemma. But some runners, when underground, are more likely to check things underground in the hopes of still finding the pan. But getting it now means you don't have to worry about that.
I imagine we'll be getting at least a peek here at the bosses. It'd be really useful to know, for example, if Golbez is waiting here, although the chances of taking on any bosses here is pretty low given these starting levels.
I mean, there's a thing to be said for taking Golbez on with only 2 people, but there's also
that's fair.
These hit point levels.
And fortunately, no ability to manipulate agility at this point. I don't think either runners have found the very helpful curse ring.
Yeah, on S standard, that could be in any shop. It doesn't have to be gated. It's like that's what Bursik was looking for, but he finds a strength ring instead.
Yep. I don't think we noted there are coffins here in this item shop, so one of those items you're looking for. Instant death on any enemy who, say, doesn't have the boss bit on.
Yeah, they're useful in a wide variety of situations. Nice to get yourself a stack of those if you can afford it.
Especially because there are some boss locations that end up having non-boss enemies in them. And so when you're looking at, one of those spots with 30, 40,000 HP and you just coffin your way through the fight, it goes much faster.
Bursik is out of the Fey March and on his way down the Sylph Cave, so we'll be seeing our second key item check momentarily.
Yeah. No way he was going to, put off doing this for very long once he had found that pan.
No.
And penguin8r also there checking on the bosses and noting, no, I will not fight those at least right now. Karate Man and Leviathan being not easy for this party to deal with.
I'd really like to bring a paladin back to that karate fight.
Definitely a special part of that script lets you just end it immediately with a paladin attacking after the second kick. Alright, a pass. You don't mind seeing that. It's not going to help you progress right now, but when you finally do enter go mode, you're set. You can get to Zeromus real quick wherever you are.
Some races have come down to who has a pass at the end. I won't say which ones, because I assure you that at least once in this tournament, it has been the decisive factor.
penguin8r doing some additional looting here inside the Sylph Cave.
Yeah, sometimes the speedrunners take a chance on those two chests. There are a lot of traps in Sylph Cave, but the core level of the loot increases accordingly, and a headband and a power shirt's a nice combo for a punch mage.
Definitely. I was saying there's not too much good equipment for Yang early game. Those are kind of the exceptions. Those right there will actually let him be able to hit a fair bit harder even in the early game, just increasing his strength stat.
Now, if only these had been Zeus coins. Maybe Sheila has.
Exactly. So, Bursik, go ahead and checking the shops in Dwarf Castle, but again, just doesn't have the levels to take on these kind of mid-game fights. And so heading back up to the overworld, and we'll likely start doing checks here. He has not checked the Hobbs yet, and this is important to do because we do have that character hunt. We know it's not Sid, but you have to check that to find out. But then Fabul is likely high up on their list, given the check for just doing the Fabul Gauntlet location, the defend Fabul, and then hey, we get to do the 2 checks from Sheila.
Yeah, but this gear on Bursik's Roja, samurai arrow, samurai bow, ninja cap, heroine robe, and a rune ring, I guess. And in the meantime, Aang showed up with his own Thunderclaw, and adding an Ice Claw to it sets him.
penguin8r is checking the boss here in Dwarf Castle, seeing Kanizo. Again, that was probably just an information check. You want to know who is there. Really, not likely you want to take the fight at this point.
No.
But
I don't think
again,
I'd even want a King Queen Evelyn there just because I'm worried about the second fight.
Exactly. Even if it was a freebie fight, you just can't afford taking the second fight. Bursik is interested in getting a second white mage here.
It fills a slot, and I believe he found a lunar staff. So
Very good.
Having Rosa be DPS, which is what he's outfitted her for anyway, and let Porum handle the healing for now.
Yeah. Since he has done all this looting, he actually does have gears. This fight shouldn't take too long for him, so that could be the difference why he's willing to do this just for the extra character versus penguin8r having reset early on.
Yeah, you can understand that early reset though. Base level gear. This is just rudeness.
penguin8r does now come back, so it looks like he was just waiting for gear to take this fight on.
Yeah. And the fight before that, charm causes too much trouble. Granted, Porum is probably the safest person to charm here. It's not like Rosa got charmed.
Yeah, Rosa with all that strong equipment might be actually a little scary if she was charmed.
Yeah, that would not be pleasant.
So, Bursik has definitely found, I think, better gear here, though, for his Rosa. That heroine rope definitely helps a bunch of extra physical stats, both strength and agility. Is going to make her an excellent agility anchor for the first part of this game, where having high agility is actually what you want to do.
Yeah. penguin8r gets through the fight quicker, breaks out a Stardust item, and he's done.
Those AoE J items are really helpful for a lot of these early boss fights if there are multiple targets, because when that HP gets split across all of those different bodies, one AoE spell can a lot of times just end the fight instantly, as we saw here.
He even replaces it with a Gaia drum with a loop, so good to go.
A little bit of divergence here. Bursik heading on into Fabul, while penguin8r is going to take on the Antline Cave. We see Dark Knight Cecil here. Not too concerning at this point.
Yeah, we can heal through this. His waves, something justice.
So, yeah, Yang definitely always a good counter to this. He has just such a high HP pool, even when you find him in some of those harder locations. Yang's the most likely to be able to just survive the 3 waves, maybe even needing just some cure potions.
And penguin8r finding a free boss in Antline, not where you want your free bosses.
Yeah, exactly. As we kind of talked about earlier, some bosses do not have the boss bit on, which lets you able to do a lot of things to make the fight easier. This being one of those non-boss bit fights. And unfortunately, it's getting taken out of the pool in a very easy location where you really can do many things to just end it.
Yeah, penguin8r going for speed here, foregoing the XP from the officer, which in such a low spot is understandable.
Bursik here getting the hook, while penguin8r is awarded the tower key. So the hook is, while we already do have the magma key, so we know that's not going to have to be our way underground, it does provide a character check. So again, that's another chance to find our Cid, as well as 2 bosses. There's a chance Golbez is hiding behind that route.
Yep, and we're going to need that hook in order to turn in the pink tail for objective 3 and the rat tail if it's found for another key item check. So.
Definitely. A few more keys being found here in Fabul. We now have also the Luca key, giving access to the sealed cave, which contains 1 key item, 1 boss. And a weapon per edge. So that means he will not be in this seed. We will not be finding edge as there's weapons available for him.
I still have hope.
there are
2 characters with distinct 10 that are gone no matter how hard. And it's also possible that even if someone's in the seed, they'll be tucked far away.
Exactly. A lot of locations you just don't want to have to visit if you don't need to. Package can take a really long time. Giant is really not that appealing in this flag set.
Yeah, I'd take a package edge, especially if I was still holding on to Masamune. But Giant, yeah, that must sit there and collect dust until it gets sold.
The nice thing with the package is you at least get to peek who the character is before you commit the time. Giant doesn't have that. All right, Bursik going ahead and raising the hovercraft, so he has access to that hook, and so potentially wanting to make use of it immediately, so might go check that character in Emblem Cave. Or maybe he's just in the area and wants to get launched since he knows he has the hook now.
I'm sorry, still dealing with the package.
Oh, I enjoyed that greatly. That was a good one.
I did too.
Speaking of free bosses, there's Water Hag in a location we do not need to visit. So again, you're never happy to see those free boss fights showing up early on. You'd really much rather see them in later, harder locations. But just making sure Golbez isn't hiding out there.
Depending on what our possible routes to go mode are, we could be setting up for a rude endgame. I'm sure both of our runners are aware of that already.
So we are going to get, looks like some additional looting inside the cave. So again, another pretty good, since this is behind the hook, pretty high tier loot, but you have to be worried about running into the one trap chest here. Also, the item shop inside the cave can be very nice. So I imagine we'll have a peek in here.
It's the one shop that's guaranteed 2 tier 5 items, and today those are Bacchus and Hourglass 2.
2 items you're definitely very happy to see. Bacchus, you have 2 Berserk casters, so you don't need those quite as much, but the Hourglasses are really nice. That's probably the most powerful item there to take on those non-boss bit fights. You just cast that, lock down those enemies. They're stopped for, I'm not sure exactly how long it is, but it feels like forever, so you'll get through the fight.
I've heard stories about to running out, but I've never personally.
I do imagine it is possible. And even checking the armor and weapon shops here. Again, these are gated shops, so they have better equipment like samurai arrows, which will go nicely with that samurai bow. Penguin8r here finding his hook as well, and seems to be following that same idea of, hey, let's check this boss, see if we can find that hiding gold bez, and we'll then likely launch the hovercraft.
It tends to get checked right around this time because you're in the neighborhood. It's just convenient. The runner has peeked in on Mist Cave. I'm crossing my fingers for Vanilla Demons.
Oh, that would. Oh, so here's Kane. Not the Sid we were wanting to find to get an objective, but hey, a strong character. So.
And that Sparkle can just hang out there in Ruby's spot. Entity will remain unknown unless we find the other Sparkles and introduce it.
Now there is one more boss there at the King and Queen Evelyn spot, but that's a bit more of a time commitment to go ahead and check that, to have to walk up the tower.
Yeah, that is really late on a long list of where am I going for a boss. It's somewhere around Hackett.
And Bursik definitely not interested in finding out who that boss is, and we'll just go ahead and exit out right now. And getting Kane here back row glitched using the Dwarfax, and does have some a pretty good spear already for him, and just seeing what other equipment he has. Not much armor. That is definitely a problem with the flag set here, where characters come with no starting body armor helmets. Is you really want to find some of that armor to get them at least get somewhat reasonable defenses.
Yeah, early on, it's not as big a deal, especially with the firepower we've seen. You could just knock bosses down before that gives you much trouble. But eventually, you're gonna run into something that's going to hit you, and you'd prefer to be able to stand up and swing again.
Yeah, definitely. Or maybe finally do find or get that paladin, and just let him take all the physical hits for you. He's a good guy that way. All right, Bursik heading into the outline cave himself, doing more looting, I believe, than Penguin8r did. Definitely speaks to me. I know I like just doing all the looting here.
It's interesting the spots our runners have chosen and pass up very different approaches that way. You have to pick and choose. You don't have time to open up every chest, but
it's true, but loot. I just want all the loot all the time.
Loot goblin.
Penguin8r grabbing his cane and also not committing and checking that one boss location. Again, there are so many different boss spots that even when you have a boss hunt, you really don't want to commit the time just to check one location there, especially because we only have to finish 4 out of the 5 objectives. As you were saying, you can always just fade that gold bez.
Punch Mage witnesses all of the pain in place on Penguin8r's screen. All he has to say about it is, dang.
I like it. Penguin8r heading off now here to Ordeals. So Ordeals is nice, goes ahead and gets you your Paladin, and it gets Telesipal spell list, which doesn't do anything here, but it does have 3 bosses as well as a key item, so useful in that boss hunt. We have Gobez still at large, as well as the D-Mist.
Penguin8r is going to get at least a couple of the chests here. Just in case you missed the one Blitz Whip, would you like another?
No, not really.
No, I mean, at least we're still in Swiss. Sell it for 1 quarter, but once we move on to brackets, we're at sell 0, and you're going to see a lot of runners either having to learn to discard things that they don't want or face the inventory boost.
Definitely. As well as it's just much harder to come by that money for buying things you want. Alright. First boss here. Oh, this won't be fine.
Gearing up, pouring for healing, and making sure that Rosa will never lack for arrows. Now has 7 samurai arrows.
Definitely enough. Divergence here. Bursik going into the Baron Inn here to fight a CPU who was having a drink with Rydia.
We haven't seen any good summons for Rydia yet, although there is a summon waiting on the Hub's Ice. But still, a black mage is a black mage.
Well, what about all those blitz whips we found?
Well, yes, versatile. Gonna find those soon. Rosa into the healer and let her hit things?
Yeah. Like in here at this spot, definitely could be a meaner boss, but the power level we have here, mostly through the equipment, means not too worried about this fight, be able to get through it. Bahamut there taking himself out with a reflected Mega Nuke.
Yeah, so we're going to see penguin8r get his party back together and go on to the second back attack spot.
Yep. And going through his a decent portion of his life potion stack. So that starter kit does get you a handful of life potions, which is extremely helpful. It's not a unlimited supply, so you do have to be a little concerned of running out of those. So using 3 of them right there, as opposed to there's always the option of using 1 on a white mage and having them cast life, but it is slower, so it's definitely a trade-off there.
Bursik gets through and gets Rydia and a ninja star.
Probably not what he was hoping to see there.
Yeah.
Not the character. I don't think he was super interested in that. As you're saying, it's a black mage. If you can get some levels on her, she'll definitely learn some good spells, but without access to a current good summon, Rydia doesn't have terribly high value for this party right now, and also whipping then on the key item.
Yeah, we might see a Sylph or an Asura on Hubs. That would be a good find. We'd even take a Titan or something like that if we're not going to see Dwarf Castle anytime soon.
Safe Marsha noting Rydia's job right now could be as an anchor. She is very good as a anchor if you can keep her there at level 1 with just an agility of 4. We're in the area. Let's go and check Mist Cave, see if either of the bosses we want to find are hiding out there.
And Solaris pointing out that technically an Asura has been located, but it's not terribly helpful right now. Bursik's gonna dip into Kaipo, probably check on the character in the bed since we have an unknown character objective. Yep. See how that goes. Meanwhile, penguin8r has taken down Paladin quite efficiently, gets the experience on everybody this time.
Very good. Definitely with those, the Punch Mage and the 2 White Mages, getting experience on all these characters is going to be useful. Get those power levels up. We're still kind of here in this, the early part of the game, so the equipment's going to carry for now, but at some point you're also going to need levels to go along with that.
Ooh, Bedward! Not the key item, but just the Bedward of the Sand Ruby.
I think we're rewarded with, a Crystal Shield. Doesn't even have anyone who can use that right now, I believe. Oh, I'm finding the Odin fight here.
And this is a case of glad to see this in this spot. There are
that's definitely
true. And this is
and you're noting Yang starting with that Thunderclaw is always nice to see. And you can see one of the reasons right there, doing over 1,000 points of damage with a single punch to Odin.
So many bosses are weak to Thunder. We're going to see a lot more mileage out of that Thunder. Bursik running right past the Blitz Whips. If only he didn't care.
What will his Rydia do now? penguin8r here seeing, unfortunately not really getting anything he was hoping for from Ordeals, but not going to reset at this point. Already has committed the time, and he still might stumble onto his Paladin, or maybe even the Tella, and so is happy to have those portions unlocked.
Scythe Marshal's asking in chat, if you see that non-key item at Baron Inn, do you reset out to keep Rydia as an anchor? Personally, I don't. C-Buy is on, so we can't just push her into Mysidia when we get somewhere else, but that fight is personally a bit long for me to wait through to get a hold of it.
Yeah, as well as curse rings. You can stumble on them in this flag set if you've done sufficient looting, as well as they're available just in some shops, so the anchor situation ends up not being too hard. We also know Sid is out there somewhere, and he can be a really nice anchor because you know you have a Dwarf Axe, so even if you don't find that curse ring, his low agility and a Dwarf Axe will let him be a pretty good anchor as long as you don't gain too many levels.
Yeah, that's another very...
All right, penguin8r, good. Just swapping places here.
Anchor.
Yeah, penguin8r going
Rivers.
to Baron Inn.
Sorry. Yes, Rivers, we are sirenless so far. Did you see anyone check the Dwarf Castle shop platform?
I believe both our runners did, and I did not see sirens there. So I believe we checked every shop that could contain sirens, except for the moon.
Yes.
Now, sirens do have, I believe it's something like a 90% chance of appearing on this flag set. So, still, they could be there on the moon, but maybe we're looking at an actual sirenless seed. It is possible.
Yeah, which isn't the end of the world. You typically clear a lot of things to get through. There are various low-level strats, the 1200 hit point strats, the Fu and Friends, and if you have a Sand Ruby, we have an Edward.
Our runner's probably not worrying too much about being sirenless right now, as we're 30 minutes in with 0 objectives lit up. It's not looking like this will be the fastest seed. Could turn at any moment, but right now not looking all that fast. So as you're saying, we may end up just clearing a lot of this seed, which is going to end up getting you a lot of experience, especially, say, taking on many of the moon bosses.
And it's also possible we've only seen 6 out of our 10 characters. One of the ones we haven't seen yet could be Edge. And he can see sirens from the alerts in the Lower Babel Tower if it comes down to it.
Yep, which is the location we'll certainly be visiting now we have that tower key, allowing us to do 2 key item checks while we're in there. All right, we're just basically retreading ground here. Our runners have traded places here. Bursik finishing up ordeals, penguin8r finding just that ninja star with the Rydia.
So once this gets done and the overworld has been cleared out, our runners are going to have to choose between the tower with a tower key. Could either do that full, or you could do the penguin8r special, named for our current runner, of just checking the room. You could go to Dwarf Castle, or you could do Feymarch. What do you like best based on what we've seen so far?
I think I would like Dwarf Castle. That Kanizo fight is a little scary, but you have both the Thunderclaw and Ice Claw, so you can hit both of the elemental weaknesses there, and if you can make it through that fight, it's a big influx of experience for that location, at least for this part of the game. So the fight's a little tricky, but it'll kind of set you up to be able to do everything else faster if you can get through it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. 2 bosses, a key item, and a character check. And as you noted, regardless of whether the water's up or down, Yang's going to be hitting for extra damage. I think that even if you don't hit first wave down and you take it, you're still going to have some people standing and get through. And if you do short circuit that first wave, well timed 4 rage, for instance, then you'll be fine.
Exactly. So be interesting to see what our runners here choose to do, as they will have to be heading underground here as we've run out of above ground checks. penguin8r either wants to do some more shopping or does like the idea of this Dwarf Castle check. Speaking of shopping, looks like Bursik is going to be doing some more 2 item shops in here, so it can be nice to find a few more items. Oh, also check the armor shop. Probably looking for that curse ring.
If you have to deal with an inventory boss, at least you're out of shop.
Exactly. Best place to do it. Get rewarded for throwing those things you don't need away. No, not clearing out too much of that inventory space, though. Cool. So these are the ungated shops. So yeah, we're not going to find those tier 5 items like sirens, but you can definitely get some nice things still here. And taking this opportunity to sell more, if anything, just to get the money to be able to buy that summon.
Yeah, and not be flat broke afterwards. It'd be terrible. If he found. Has he been to Hobbs? It would be terrible if he found a sylph there after that.
I don't believe either of our runners checked the summon at Hobbs. They both used the back entrance to get the character faster and then just left. Yeah, that definitely is a decent chunk of money to buy that, but it's going to help. That's a quite strong spell for this early part of the game. Does out damage about equal to a virus and gets you some healing at the same time, just with unfortunately a bit longer of an animation.
It's definitely worth the money you put into it. You're going to leave it alone later on in the game just because of that casting time, but early on you're looking at virus level damage and having the damage spread out as healing over your entire body.
So, penguin8r there is eating a wave, but he's done enough damage, just only doing a few 100 points. So taking down his Rydia, which very well he might be happy to have her taken down, leave her as that anchor, and the fight will only be safer for going on. As you do more damage to Kamizo, the wave does less and less damage as it's linked to his current HP levels.
Yeah. I believe the range is 4 to 6% of whatever his HP total is. There are plenty of people I see in chat that probably know for sure.
Bursik, after his shopping, does also like this idea of Dwarf Castle, so we see him heading in here as well.
Both our runners agreeing with you.
Yep.
And we get to see the second boss.
First, we'll get another character, see if it's someone we're interested in adding to our party, or Sid, which would be an objective, and someone we might still be interested in adding to the party.
Oh, Darkin, huh? Okay.
Hey, there's one of those freebie fights.
Ooh.
You're always happy to see the paladin.
And now you're speaking my language.
Penguin definitely knows he wants him, but it's a challenge of who do you let go in this one. This is a tricky one to let go.
He doesn't have the sylph that Bursik has, and he's confident in being able to figure out something anchor wise. He decided time for Rydia.
Yep, that's right. Again, the Dwarf Axe does make anchoring a little bit easier, as that's some ability to lower the agility on either your Cecil or your Kane. Maybe you'll find that Sid later. And keeping Rydia at level 1 through the rest of a lot of the seed, because it looks like there's still a lot left here, can be just kind of annoying, so maybe penguin8r didn't want to have to deal with that for the entirety of the seed.
It is. I mean, having the speed of a party at RA1 is wonderful, but having to burn in action early to make sure she goes down, and you're effectively working with 4 characters at that point, there are some fights where it's absolutely critical, but a lot of times just having 5 solid characters will do just fine.
Yep, definitely. And you can get some very strong characters in this flag set, so even if you don't get the best agility situation, you can still be set up to take out some of those harder fights, as long as you just power overwhelming them, and the Paladin Cecil is a good person to do that. Yeah,
lightsabers, legit weapon through mid-game and even towards late game. I'd really like to see X-Cal or Crystal for Zeromus, but even if you don't get that far, he can still chip in. Cecil has a lot of useful abilities beyond just swinging a sword.
So we got a good character and a twin harp. Definitely happy to see that.
Oh yes. You feel good when you finally get to the point where you have to make a decision, as our runners are at now, and it leads you to an objective.
Bursik looking to drop his second white mage here. He's happy with just one, while penguin8r wants to keep both. Maybe he's interested in Rosa continuing to be a damage dealer there, although I don't believe he found the heroine robe or just the multiple access to Berserk.
I think penguin8r has the samurai bow, but not the heroine bow. That was
Gotcha.
back of Rydia's mom's house.
Yeah, not the most common of check to be done. Oh, penguin8r following the common mantra of check your freebies, check your objectives. You're going to want to do Twin Harp at some point in time. So why not just go ahead and do it right now and find out what that key item behind it is, because that might want to change what your plans are.
Absolutely. And Bursik's going to be right behind him once he gets through this fight.
Yeah. Sure. I don't believe penguin8r did this, the life glitching on these Dark Imps. So we're talking about Dwarf Castle being a pretty good experience spot for this point in the game. And so being able to life glitch these Dark Imps will give him a little more experience at the cost of taking a little bit of extra time in this fight.
For anyone here who doesn't know, because you haven't seen much free Enterprise, one of the reasons we love having Complete Cave Magnus as an objective is that we don't get to the normal Edward tune. There are a lot of MIDI arrangements for the harp music, mostly done by our wonderful music dev called Lamity, and we get a new one each time.
Yeah, I know this is definitely one of my favorite parts of every seed, finding out which song we get to hear. Just have to get through this first half of the fight, which you just need to lose as fast as possible, which penguin8r does by coffining himself.
And so that is our cue to take a break from commentating and turn the floor over to DJ Spoony Bard.
And some very nice, very peaceful Zelda music to go with that fight there.
A spoon! We're halfway through. We just need a sand ruby.
We know where Edward is. I'm sure our runners are just hoping to find that sand ruby as fast as possible and immediately go and pick up the... Well, maybe not. We'll have to see. But we do have the spoon flag on, so that means Edward can equip the spoon, the most powerful weapon in the game, which is saying something in a game that has the crystal sword.
Yeah, it's missing the strength boost the crystal sword, but for raw attack power, there is nothing better.
And Bursk, sure enough, coming into the Twin Harp location immediately as well, and so we will go ahead and get a repeat here. And
Well-
Bursik also cleanly making it through that fight, while penguin8r is showing us a Mylon variant hanging out at the top of the tower.
And we haven't seen either Mylon yet. If this is Zed, that lightsaber's gonna have a fun time. Oh, it is Zed.
You called him here with that. So, definitely, this should be a probably pretty quick fight with this set of equipment, being able to take advantage of that, is it holy weakness? Undead weakness? Man, lightsaber does a bunch of damage here.
And Bursik having to warp out of Cave Magnus, having
Oh.
Rosa doesn't learn exit until we go through that.
Still faster than walking out.
And Scala's confirmed that this is the Ocarina of Time version of Microvillage. That was
An excellent version. I could listen to that for the entirety of the seed. I think it'd really help, keep you calm, not worry too much about, how to make any of those hard decisions. You're just always going to be a nice chill level with that playing in the background.
Rivers is wondering if Bursik Cecil has exit. I haven't seen Cecil's level, but what is it, level 19 that Cecil gets exit?
Yeah, that's a good call out. He very well might have got it, given he did do that life glitch on the imps, getting that extra experience.
That is a level 21 Cecil, so might have it already.
We do see top of tower given the Baron key, which is nice. Another potential character check, because we still have that sit at large. As well as 3 bosses to fight there. One we've already seen, which is the other guards fight, I think it was. But
Yes.
2 thrones are holding bosses. So
And since we've seen the Kaipo guards in Antlion, we know that it's the Baron guards in Baron. But speaking of free bosses in soft spot,
yep. We just all the free bosses are just kind of ending up. We're not really wanting to see them. This is probably one of the easiest spots in the game. Definitely the easiest for its location. And you get probably the easiest fight in the game there.
and let's count them. We've seen sets of guards, we've seen Water Hag, we've seen Dark Imps, and we've seen King Queen Eblon. It's looking worse and worse.
We still have a lot of things left to do, having only 1 objective done for each of our runners, needing to finish 4. So yeah, this might have to be a seed where you check a lot of locations, which might mean those rude bosses who are still left in the pool might be showing up at rude locations. Those moon spots, for example, have a lot of HP and sometimes very high attack and or magic stats.
Yeah, and we have seen Karate in Leviathan, which is better than it could be. With a Cecil around, that's pretty close to free. It's possible that Yang will zero in on his nemesis for the fight and that situation, but as long as that doesn't happen, you'll get through with a little bit of suffering.
Yeah. With 2 white mages, there's also access to blink, so if you can throw those up, your paladin won't have to survive the kicks, which he can likely do with his HP pool, and then end the fight by just doing any fight command after that second kick.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan.
And what's the reward for completing the super cannon room? penguin8r is showing us the darkness crystals.
Well,
We're talking about
that shortly.
exactly. Probably not gonna go do the moon immediately, given he has things like Baron Castle to check. So yeah, hang off to Baron first. But it's always good to know you have the option of going to the moon when you want. Now, an interesting reason to maybe go to the moon early would be there is that character check, the Lunar Throne there. We still don't know where Sid is, as well as there's a chance there finding one of the gated characters, Edge or Fusoya, as well as there's that last shop that has a chance of holding the sirens.
I think that after getting the darkness crystal, you do one of 2 things. What penguin8r is doing now, just go ahead and clear whatever you're going to do on Earth, and then when you go to the moon, commit. Or maybe, just like you're saying, dip up there quick for the character and the shop check, and at most peek Cave Bahamut, and then get out.
Yep, definitely. We're liking Baron Castle here, which is definitely the first 2 bosses, so probably not going to cause some problems with his current levels and equipment, but the basement throne could still be scary at this point, although while he's in the area, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at least checking to see who it is.
Oh yeah, you definitely face check the balls if nothing else, and depending on who it is.
Maybe just a really quick reset because you have no desire to fight them.
Yeah. I could see, say, an Octomom in the basement being something that penguin8r could handle.
Yep. Definitely running out here of free fights as we're taking on the guards at the first Baron spot here. But hey, can be coffined to get through the fight nice and fast, as well as taking advantage of that mage weakness. I believe that was a rune axe swing.
Fast menuing in the middle of a coffin animation. Halfway through his inventory and still gets the swing in without losing any time.
Yeah, definitely a sign of a really strong runner there, taking use of every opportunity he has to not lose any time. Take advantage of those weaknesses you can. And you're right, doing that during a coffin animation means he didn't even really lose the menuing time.
Light-Year, as far as any free or free adjacent fights, well, there's this plague.
Yeah, if it is Moon's looking like it's going to be rough today.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking advantage of weaknesses, Plague, being a flying enemy, is weak to bow arrows and spears, which Kane is using. So quickly getting through this fight.
And even in high HP spots, if you have enough Berserkers automatically entering the action queue, you can sit on a 0 count for very long.
Yep, very nerve-wracking to sit there staring at the zeros, but yep, if you really clog that queue, you end up not dying even though the counter is sitting at 0. Which character do we get here? Is this vanilla? Oh, it's an old man, but not the old man we wanted to see.
Who is this old nag?
Oh, did penguin8r take Talon there?
Ding.
It was a fast menu, but I think he did.
Utility.
As well as, again, low agility. Might be looking for that agility anchor if he's thinking of going to the moon soon. Chat saying, yep, ditch Porum. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
So,
he does have Rosa already as a white mage. Maybe he was just keeping Porum there for the earlier access to Berserk, but if Rosa has now learned Berserk as well, you don't need 2 white mages.
yeah, and Cecil's learned exit, and you're good. Well, that is not a key item, but Kane just got stronger.
Yeah, definitely very strong weapon there for the Kane. And you're not going to reset here because by completing this, you have easy access to the Baron Basement Throne, which will not be checked right now.
Oh, yeah. So, penguin8r decided he's got better things to do than the Baron Basement.
Yeah, definitely continued divergence here. Berserk heading over to launch. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
It looks like a trip to Feymarch, possibly to finally deal with that karate. Berserk's gonna launch them.
Exactly. Feeling confident now his paladin will be able to survive long enough to get the attack after the second kick. Well, Berserk here is willing to go to the moon, so it'll be interesting to see just how much of a commitment he's going to do here. Will it just be those character shop checks and then leave? Or is he going to go, nope, I'm going to take the gamble here that there's some good stuff waiting up on the moon, and I'm going to find out what bosses are up here and how to get through them. Although, not having seen as many boss spots as penguin8r, Berserk doesn't quite know yet that the moon might be absolutely terrifying. Where even if it has the items you want, you could still qualify as haunted.
Yeah. Trying to think, like, is there anything possibly like Octomom that I mentioned earlier? That'll slow down once you get through the first few punches, and you can deal with it. Leviathan's sitting there. We've already seen Asura hanging out in the waterfall, which is unpleasant in a high hit spot, but not necessarily fatal.
Maybe Golbez, which you want to take on for the objective, and if high magic, he'll just reflect himself to death.
Yeah, and then you just finish the job with a swing of your own. That could be it.
Yeah, there's definitely still some fights we can take on here, but it's it's not something I think I'd be super excited to do. Penguin8r, they're showing the karate script. Attacking the paladin after the second kip will just result in him saying ouch and the fight ending, and him handing over a package, which again, Sid is still at large here, so that character check is interesting.
And if you follow up on the character check, there's a boss waiting for you at the end. I mean, could be a hard required package.
Yeah, it very well could be. Resting at the inn, I'm gonna guess that means Penguin8r might actually be interested in taking a save and then doing the other fight here.
Yeah, and that's understandable. If you're gonna come back here on a second trip, you really don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. It's either you do the fight now or you never do it, because you don't have to do that third walk down here.
Oh, hey, remember that Masamune that we've been carrying around since?
Yeah, well, hopefully it hasn't been sold yet, but that is a very good weapon here for our edge. So will he make it into the party? Again, I don't believe we checked the shop yet, so this might also be our only access to sirens. So we might want to keep him around for utility reasons.
And yeah, Edge subbing in for Yang as he often does. He can use the same claws that Yang does and pair them with usually a much more powerful weapon. Doesn't have the durability that Yang does by a long shot, but he's still often ends up filling that gap.
Yep, and coming with a boomerang, so he's even back row glitched.
Yeah, nice.
No complaints about that.
Now for that shop check, is it a sirenless? We have our siren.
There are sirens available. And silk webs, also a nice item, although it looks like we already have 2 in inventory.
Yeah, no, one was found in Antlion and apparently one other somewhere else.
See Penguin8r here doing pretty good damage here to the Leviathan. Probably still that Thunderclaw on Yang and having him berserk to hit for a good chunk of damage. Over 2,000 on a hit. And the big waves here from the lower version here of the no probe is only going to do a quarter of your HP, so not the half that you have to see from Ogopogo, making this easier fight for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely part of Ogo's rudeness, is that every other time he throws big wave, he puts a second one right behind the first and take that half damage.
Yeah, especially opening the fight with that. A surprise Ogopogo can definitely earn you a reset if you didn't heal up after some previous fights.
Yeah, real fast. It's happened to almost everybody once, and they never forget it. The time they wandered into a super cannon room, expecting no trouble whatsoever, and realized when they faced off against Ogo, they had forgotten.
Penguin8r finding more good edge equipment, so when he finally does head to the moon, which is looking more and more likely to be required, we'll be able to equip that edge very well. Valis.
Interesting spot for Val.
Yep. I don't want to take that.
Good warrior can cut through that whirlwind, and you might even be able to magic it. I'm not sure, but I know you can punch through it. And you probably don't want to put her out of the whirlwind, because she'll swing more often, and that is a super punchy spot.
Yep, definitely. So I think, Bursik was, as I think you were noting, peeking that boss to see if it maybe was a free one. And while not the worst spot to run into Val, definitely doesn't quite go into the this is about a free fight. So we'll put that information away for later and come back down to the blue planet here. Asuka pointing out, checking Luca or package. That is a good point. Definitely the package. At least peek it to see if Sid is hanging out there. And I do like the Luca check as well. You don't have to totally commit to that. You save outside the sealed cave, you walk down to the bottom, you see your key item, you see the boss, and if neither of those are useful, you're done. You just reset and you go back from your save.
Yeah, and both our runners should have access to work. Penguin8r has Tella, and I believe Bursik still has Rydia. She doesn't take long to learn work.
Very low level. As well as, can I get all your blue planet checks done while you're down there, and then go see if, yeah, you really do need to commit to this moon. There's just no other option. Penguin8r going, finding that Siren's up here, so this might influence his decision here to take Edge or not, because he'll know he has access to Sirens, doesn't need the utility part of Edge, but given those two swords, he'll probably want the Edge.
Yeah. Asamura is pretty high on the list of desirable combos.
As well as he hasn't committed yet to a grind, so he still has a chance to get levels on him whenever he ends up doing that grind. He's going to go ahead and check K value first, though, before finding out who that character is.
And we've turned off the slingshot flag for both phases of this tournament, so bringing someone in after a grind and getting them caught up is not as smooth as it's been in previous flag sets.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel as appealing anymore without getting that slingshot XP. Peeking the boss and also deciding, you know what, not right now.
Yeah, definitely to make that happen.
Finding not Sid here, but not too disappointed to find that Edge, who will be very well equipped. Bursik doing a little bit of looting inside of Baron Castle here. Those 3 chests, they're right there on the side and could actually have some pretty high tier items in them. So, you know, it could be a nice check. Not really commit too much time and just find out what's waiting.
Yeah, the hourglass was nice. I didn't catch the item in the middle chest.
Penguin8r doing the exact same. Take out Yang here for that Edge. Sure enough. Gonna put on weapons as well as use those elemental claws. Why not take the Edge instead? Though running into the inventory boss there, trading out just enough to make space, but still sitting around on full inventory.
And Penguin8r is also done with the moon. He's going to head back down to Earth, go for some of these things that have been left behind. Let's see where he goes first.
Could be that package check, could be that Luca key check. He did not do the Baron Basement Throne, so maybe he'll be heading back that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Bag's full. We'll have to sell some things. Don't sell those swords. You need those still.
Ooh, cabins. Define those.
You like those when you have to do a moon dive, because it can be good to get the full restore after taking on those pretty challenging boss locations. Especially the bottom part of the moon.
Yeah, and especially with as rude as this moon is threatening to be.
Definitely.
Would you like a second Cecil? I understand.
I would, but not for that much of a time commitment.
No, maybe later after we found 2 crystal swords on them.
Yeah, fair enough. I had to sell 3 of them already.
Dare you?
Penguin8r going and seeing who's in this bed here, as he didn't have that information yet, and just finding it's the Edward. Well, he does have that spoon. I imagine he's more interested in finding out where Sid is hiding, because he really wants to get these objectives lit up.
Yeah, and we've narrowed it down to either Zot or the Giant.
Yep, Zot requiring the Earth Crystal to get to the character checks. You can do the first boss fight, but you can not actually finish Zot and get the characters there without having the Earth Crystal. You could do the Giant right now. That is possible.
And you can, if you get through that first fight, walk into the next room and see the first character for knowledge. But you
That's
can't.
true. There is information.
It's a lot of work to go through for that.
Yeah, that's fair. You'd much rather just wait until you have the Earth Crystal and then spend that time.
Yeah.
As well as Giant takes a long time. Those are high level boss locations with a lot of HP to chew through, and we, as we keep saying, have run out of a lot of our easy boss fights. So doing Giant in just the hope of finding Sid is probably not terribly high on priority list.
No, definitely not. Bursik's going to give us something we haven't seen yet in this seed as he heads down to the Baron basement.
Definitely a stronger fight than the two other Baron boss fights, but not say as quite high level as the Moon Spots or even the Baymarsh boss fights. That's a blue robe.
That's a gauntlet.
We've already seen the Water Hag, which means we will have to be fighting the Alt Gauntlet here.
And this Alt Gauntlet is a little more special. Normally, it takes encounters from the surrounding areas, but the fields of Baron determined to be far too tight for this location. We grab a different Feymarsh.
That seems fair. Although the imp not being terribly scary to be summoned by the Conjurer there. Penguin8r, he looks like he's happy here with the party he has set up, and so is committing to a grind. At least partial grind, anyway.
Someday, summoned imp will drop an imp orb in one of my seeds. In most perfect symmetry.
That's the main reason to check this location, right?
I mean, where else are you going to get an imp orb? Ultra gauntlet of...
That is one well-equipped edge there. Getting those two very strong swords, a power shirt, a strength ring. He'll be able to hit very hard, and especially as he gains a few more levels. Although with the grind Penguin8r done, he's probably already going to be hitting quite hard there. And Penguin8r's in the underground, so hey, might as well see what's in Luca Cave.
Here are the things that are in the area, unless you just feel like they're too rude and time-consuming, and we're at the point where everything is potentially rude and time-consuming.
I don't believe he made a save just outside the cave, but he may have made a save just after finishing his grind, and so we use that as a reset point if he needs it.
Yeah. This is Gambit's favorite grind, or at least the potential for it. Conjurer summons the Clapper.
Yep, definitely. If you don't have those sirens, there's all place to grind. It's an option. There's other places you go. The doors, when you have the Lucky Key, might seem a little more appealing.
Yeah, I mean...
maybe just beat up some moon bosses. That's good XP. But yeah, Clapper grind. It's definitely a thing.
It was rude enough, though, that Bursik was happy to burn an hourglass on it and say, you know what, I can't even. Go away.
Definitely. For this part of the game, that is a pretty rude, just random monster.
Yeah, that Blitz is HP percentage-based lightning damage. So,
Penguin8r finding Legend Sword. That's one half of our second objective, so can't reset out of this. You have to hold on to that.
now, what's the price to pay for getting it?
We kind of only have...
Ooh! It's at the sealed cave!
Oh, wow.
That could
Definitely
be...
exciting here.
Oh, we could just have an adamant up there and all is in Luca
the
Cave.
whole forge just behind Luca Key. Definitely possible.
Oh, wow.
D-Mist being here our bonus round. You can beat up D-Mist, and Rydia's mother will have a key item waiting for you when you make your way back to Mist.
Finds a ribbon, which that combined with the XP is probably just enough to walk out, especially with Golbez as an objective. That ribbon keep one character safe from the Shadow Dragon's Demolish attack. But yeah, it's still a bit of an oof.
Yeah, especially for having to go through the Alt Gauntlet, which is a pretty time-consuming fight.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've done worse things for a grind at Odin, but not too many worse things.
There's definitely enough HP at this boss location here to not be able to one phase the demist, but not a terribly scary fight either.
Yeah, and normally you'd see a unicorn or something like that to shut down the berserker, but as Solaris is pointing out in Shadow, often technically gets the job done.
Use whatever items you have access to.
And with that, penguin8r is through.
And does have access to the warp spell, so I imagine we'll see that as the way to get out of here.
And immediately running to demist is what's going to happen.
Berserk, unsurprisingly, making the same check here. Doesn't want to have to commit to the moon yet if he doesn't have to, so let's see what's in Sealed Cave, and I imagine he'll be happy to see what's waiting for him here. So in our list of, I guess, of chain items left.
Crystal?
Yep, Earth Crystal would do it. Rat Tail is a chain. Short chain, but a chain. So I'm wondering how much will penguin8r run into here that will be like, great, I don't have to do the moon yet, and not too much.
It's possible we have a haunted moon. It's just extremely.
Oh boy.
It is the Forge at Luca!
You've been calling it this seed. So, yep, you summon in the Advent right here to get the full Forge here from clearing out the Sealed Cave. All right. Yeah, let's turn that in immediately. 1, it's the objective. Let's get it done. 2, let's get X-Scal. That's a nice weapon. I wouldn't mind having one of those.
And both runners are doing this about the same time, but both are also probably feeling really behind considering how long they held on to that Luca and how many things that they've checked that just haven't worked out.
Yeah, definitely. Like an hour and 10 minutes in and you're just lighting up your second objective, you definitely have to feel a little behind. So yeah, you gotta be concerned. Did the other runner go to do Luca early and then say go to the moon? Because it's looking like the moon is going to be holding quite a bit of value here.
Yeah, I mean,
and
unless you want to chase, well, now we know that. I think the only way we have a haunted moon is I've already seen the package character. It could be the boss, but even then, I think there's what else is there? There's nothing but the moon, right?
I think it can't be haunted. It has to be a progression.
Yeah, this package check for the boss is all we've got left on it, right?
Yeah, which gets you at most Golbez, finishing 3 objectives, but unless sits on Giant, I guess. Then Moon's sort of haunted.
Yeah, I'd call it haunted. Sure, we could have Sid and Golbez on Giant, and then the moon is haunted, but the darkness crystal is hard to require.
Yeah, fair enough. I hope it's that Golbez and Sid on Giant. So
be a thing. Required sealed cave combined with required check. I mean, ooh.
That it's still possible here. Burzik showing us here the value of Blink against D-Mist, who other than the counter Cold Mist is only punching. So hey, if you're Blink, we don't get hit by those.
Yeah, it's good defense against a purely physical boss. One reason it's very high on my list for best white mages.
Yeah. And a reason why even Tell It Before Ordeals is still very useful is that's one of his actual starting spells. penguin8r does want to put off going to the moon as long as he possibly can, so he'll also be taking on this Ult Gauntlet.
Yep, and we know he's just going to get a ruin for it, but he doesn't know, so you understand him dealing with this. He's got the power on his berserkers to tear through this creek.
Yeah, he's done war grinds and now also has access to that X-Scal, so his DPS numbers are quite a bit higher here, so he'll be able to get through these fights definitely faster. as we can see here.
Run buffer. That Conjurer doesn't even get a chance to summon.
Exactly. So getting through definitely faster. Well done here by penguin8r to get through an annoying fight as fast as you possibly can. Does decide Teller should be taking a nap though.
Yeah.
Jody low. Definitely with those moon bosses, you want to have your anchor. Be a good anchor as they hide Jody that on pretty much the majority of moon boss locations. Makes that good anchoring quite important.
And he can be pretty spry for an old man. He'll pick up agility quickly if you're not careful.
And yeah, we can see Clapper is relatively rude here, as those HP pool means he can even withstand the hits here from these quite high level characters with end game gear on. Alright.
So we've got a couple of long fights that we've already seen the results. I'd like to thank our tracker, FF4FE, our restreamer, Harumph. You've rolled us a doozy that looks like it has some fun times coming at the end. All of you all for hanging out with us and watching. And Klopfer, thank you for doing some great comms with me.
And thank you as well. It's already been a very fun seed and continues to be so. penguin8r doesn't validate the ribbon high enough to walk it out, so we'll go ahead and take the reset. He's also not as interested in the XP as he already has done a bit of a grind, so it's moon time. Or maybe giant, but probably moon time.
Yeah, odds against it being giant.
You wouldn't take that gamble there?
No, we're going moon. Moon's got.
I'm gonna guess both of our runners are doing that too. While you're feeling up, probably both runners are feeling behind. Again, as you noted, the putting off doing Sealed Cave for so long. Not so far behind that you feel like you have to do a pretty unlikely check of this giant being hard required to do that before you clear out some of these moon. But now there's always the question of how to tackle the moon. Do you do the bottom-up approach or the top-down approach?
Yeah, some runners have preference. Sometimes it's situational. Typically, I think the things that make you go top down are feeling behind and only needing one thing. And so I'm expecting penguin8r to go bottom down.
Yeah, makes sense, because we probably want to find at least 2 key items here. We'd be interested in the pink tail, which completes another objective, and that earth crystal, because that's really what we're hoping to find to get the Sid, is be able to go ahead and check out the Tower of Zod.
Or, he could just go to the
top. Why not? He was already there. You're in the neighborhood. Do the check. There's also a possibility of just base checking bosses and resetting if it's not gold bez, but that's not what I'm guessing they're doing here. Now, we'll go ahead and take this fight.
So, Lunars here, an interesting bit of trivia is that the Excalibur is not going to do bonus damage, which might seem counterintuitive, but the Excalibur deals holy damage, but does not deal bonus damage to undead, and the Lunars are not actually weak to holy.
That does seem counterintuitive. I would have expected that extra damage here from the Excal. It looks like he believes he has enough damage to not have to go for Lunar Frog strats. He'll just be able to, through jump command. He is trying to avoid the fight command, as you can see here, as that triggers their virus script, but being able to use cures to do damage, darts with edge, and the jump from can.
So he feels he's close enough now.
Yeah.
He's after getting things set up.
We've seen the fires go off, so you're halfway there to the must have been counting the damage there and felt confident they would die to a swing.
And his counts were correct, as each dragon goes down with one more attack.
And his reward, that's a really strong bow.
Yeah, but at the same time, just so many checks that just haven't hit just really makes you want to stop.
Still keeping it. The XP from that spot's pretty good. So go ahead and hold on to it and just walk down there. Maybe you will use the bow, but as Rosa's kind of in white mage form at this point, probably not going to actually make use of that bow. Only Edge could dart it.
Well, we have some chat chants going on in chat for the point. Sure. And Tella will steal the kill with a staff bump.
I'd be excited to see that. Maybe it will happen. Alright, Bursik, having not done a grind yet, has decided now is a good time. Makes sense, he's probably going, well, Moon looks required. I've had a lot of easy bosses. I want to get some levels before I go and do this. Let's crack a few eggs.
Yeah, now's the time. And if you have hourglasses sitting around and you want the dragons cool, actually, he's not going to Moon. Bursik never cleared.
Oh, that's right.
Take care of that now, and that makes the dragons make even more sense.
Yep, definitely. Because these spots are not easy either, so you definitely want to, if you have access to those sirens, get a few fights done before taking them on if you can. Especially with already having 10 key items, which probably does. That's a pretty well lit up tracker there. Let's get that done now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's already behind penguin8r, who cleared the Earth a little more efficiently, and this is going to put him farther behind. He has no way of here, we know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense as the checks to do. We know they're not going to turn out to be valuable, but you just have to do them. And they're showing us
altar. There's that Octomom.
Not interested in it.
Yeah.
There are 3 bosses here. This might be where he's interested in just space checking to see what they are. And you know, find Gobez or decide if they're easy enough before he bothers taking them.
One of our last free fights. Albrenadol in the ribbon room.
Excellent. This can be an annoying fight depending on your setup, but having access, say, hourglasses, so you can just lock down the back dolls and not have to worry about the big doll getting summoned, can make this fight not too scary, which looks like that's penguin8r's plan here.
Yeah, and if you don't have the hourglasses or want to conserve them, Tella can cast Toad, and if that lands on the back dolls, then you're set as well.
Which, not too hard to do with Tella being in the center row here, gives him the extra accuracy bonus even for spells like Toad, which is not a guarantee hit. You do need to take down the orange dolls first, but that's not too hard. They get a much smaller share of the HP pool compared to the blue dolls. This spot is really rewarding for experience. Normally, you're going to get less though for this fight, but penguin8r's already done a grind, so is probably happy to just get a freebie fight here.
Yeah, you're losing the portion of the XP that's allocated to the big doll. But as you point out, the grind's been done. We'll just take our freebie, 2 chests that could both be key items, and we'll see. Well, the Avenger's going to help Cecil go burr, or it could just be handed to Kane. And the Rat Tail is opening up things on Earth. Not that I expect. You've just
that is the potential chain, so could be that leads to Earth Crystal, and Earth Crystal leads to Pinktail. The moon could for the rest be haunted actually at this point. It's not that likely, which is why penguin8r is going to continue to do the checks up here, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, and Octomom is going to actually Edge is going to carry this fight for us. Because Octomom is weak to darkness and therefore strong against holy. And last I Cal and White Spear were in the hands of our normal melee leaders.
Yeah. Thankfully, this spot doesn't have quite as much HP as the Ribbon Room spot, so even Edge just being your main damage dealer will get you through this fight pretty quickly, and you're still happy to have your other characters attack, because every first 3 attacks and then 2 more after that will remove some tentacles, which slows down Octo.
Yeah, it makes the waterfall spot a deceptively fast spot, and you're making your early checks, and so that part's rude. But you get paid back here by being able to take a rude moon spot and just slow it down.
BursikBadger following up on that package and just seeing a second paladin, which maybe earlier would have been interesting, but don't care at this point. Oh boy!
And with that earth crystal, now it's interesting.
Do you stick to the moon? Because Earth Crystal and Rat Tail both lead to another key item check, and you're really just looking for the pigtail. So
I think you face check, and penguin8r's on that plan too.
Oh boy!
A face check for Golbez. He's even setting up for it with size. He's probably
exactly.
that is
This is
a
a
clear
sign.
signal that he's going
That's
to
the
face that
only
out of
fight.
anything that's not Golbez.
Exactly. The only fight he cares to take here is Golbez. Anything else, immediate reset.
Yeah, and he's only got 2 spots.
I really like that plan here by penguin8r. He's like, all right, if I find a guaranteed objective fight, Golbez. Yeah.
Look
right
at
here.
That.
Oh boy.
Penguin8r's foresight and planning pays off as he finds the Golbez immediately.
Yeah, very well done here by penguin8r. By being using size on his own party here, he doesn't get paralyzed, so he'll have easy opportunity to get up those star veils. And once those are up, you're pretty safe at this fight. So
Well,
definitely good heads up play there by penguin8r.
Rushes Rosa, rushes Cecil, leaving behind an edge and a cane to deal with this, but they're going to get veils up. That's the whole point of the size. They're not paralyzed, and he's ready to go.
Kane doesn't get the star veil here. He'll just go ahead and swing, but with edge up. This fight basically has been won. Even though you're only doing without 1 point of damage, Golbez will be reflecting spells back on himself, or Virus doing almost 5,000 points of damage means you're going to be getting through this fight pretty quickly.
And unfortunately, it's a high magic spot.
Exactly.
penguin8r need to throw in one last punch once the reflected damage is dealt. Golbez's actual hit points are significantly higher than the spots, so you want to go ahead and punch him when he gets to the point where his Y script.
Berserk interested in doing a little more grinding here, so taking at least 1 gold dragon fight. Looks like that was a weak, followed by a staff swing from Rosa, which did 1, which happened to not be enough to take out weak dragon. Alright, and the Golbez fight done. Hey, another key item check. Maybe this actually was important. Maybe our pigtail's right here.
Or some crystal armor that is a little more interesting with an Avenger, but
Exactly. Normally, you don't like the
power
crystal.
shirts. I don't think it's used.
Exactly. Crystal armor will have very high defensive stats. Does prevent you from having the Berserk spell cast on you, so a lot of times you just don't want it. But Avenger gets to skip right by that. So that's an interesting combination. But all that strength on a power shirt, you don't want to give that up.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's definitely a case of so many things. Your offense is much more important than your defense. And when you've got that powerful a weapon, you want those strength boosts, not just to increase the damage, but because every 8 points of strength you get gives you an extra swing with the weapon every time you fight. And you don't want to miss out.
Yeah, definitely. Getting those extra attack multipliers, especially with such a strong weapon as the X-Scal, really rack up those damage numbers quickly. You can see your paladin going for 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 sometimes points of damage per swing, and that just makes quick work of any fight in the game, even Z.
So we have our rat tail turn in. Coming.
No reason to not do this one first. It's real fast, and hey, maybe it's the pigtail, and you'd be right. And you're right there to turn. Oh,
Joy,
what?
he says, here, have this pigtail. Wait, why did I give that to you? What was I thinking?
I've been looking for that. Give it back to me. And great, so penguin8r having done that Gomez fight means he doesn't even need to follow that Earth Crystal now, as he has 4 of the 5 objectives done, so he's getting rewarded immediately here with the Crystal, and another Artemis Bow to dart with Edge. But
yeah, the articles
go.
You get go mode, you're not.
Exactly. penguin8r going to does have access to the pass, so can immediately get back to the Zeromus fight very quickly here, as we see him going to do.
Yeah, and his levels are there, and he's got solid gear.
Preemptive.
Never with Zeromus, but there's a very good chance penguin8r is going to wrap this up.
Yeah, these levels are definitely enough to take on Zeromus. You are right, it's never a free fight. There's some weird things Zeromus can do, but things are looking pretty good for penguin8r. Speaking of Zeromus being kind of a rude fight, I also see some flags coming up in chat. Do you know what those are about?
Can't be nap time. It's like not even 5 o'clock.
No, that's perfect nap time. Really, any time's nap time.
Oh, that's true.
But no, so Zeromus is a rude fight, which means we really don't want to move him around the seat. He's always going to be here. His complex script will always be found here. But this is a randomizer, so we need to randomize something about Zeromus. So we're going to give him a new sprite, chosen from an excellence of over 500 at this point. Well done sprites, which then means we don't know who we're fighting yet until we throw out the crystal, which leads us to a very important question, which is...
whose butt are we gonna kick this evening? Or afternoon for some.
And excellent. So with the crystal thrown out here, we'll find out whose butt. Definitely chat throwing out some of their favorites here. Do you have a favorite?
So many favorites.
I know, putting you on the spot there. There's so many good ones.
Zeromus to knock penguin8r's party all down.
Excellent reference. Excellent. So penguin8r just going ahead here and berserking up his party with those handful of focus ones, which I believe he bought right near the beginning of the game and has just been holding on to pretty much for this fight.
And we know that Bursik, all he needs to do now is head down to the Masamune altar, get the fight there out of the way, and bail. But I don't expect.
Nope, exactly. There's just too many checks left that he thinks are open, so he's going to have to do these. And especially seeing here getting rewarded with the Earth Crystal, he'll think it'll feel like a really nice reward, so he'll actually be pretty happy. And it just turns out maybe isn't necessary, although it is possible that's an alternative way to the end.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I mean, probably better than even chance. There might be randomized math that says otherwise, but you've got 3 open character spots. 2 of them are in Earth.
So yeah, those odds are pretty good. So, as well as 2 item checks there. The rat down the Earth Crystal. Berserk just leaves the moon once he sees the Earth Crystal here.
Be perfectly understandable.
penguin8r here dealing great damage with all these characters hitting for 2k, 3k, 4k points. He's doing over 10k points of damage on each of these rounds, which will very quickly add up and take out this Zeromus. Quite confident here we'll get out of the first phase without even seeing the full strength Big Bang, so we'll really only have to worry about seeing that in the second part of the Zeromus script. Or not even ever see a full strength Big Bang.
Yeah, there's enough damage for that. These tips happen each time. You go straight to rocks. Secure 4 ready just for good measure.
And we see a shake.
Garlemus sinks into the void. penguin8r is our winner. We'll have an official time up shortly. Get your GGs out in chat. Penguin8r at 4-1-1 will have a very strong position in the upcoming battles.
GG's to penguin8r, very well run seed by him.
And we do. Bursik is bailing on the moon. He's going to miss out on that Golbez, but could very well find the Sid along.
Yeah, totally makes sense as we're kind of talking through the opportunities for him to still reach go mode from here. Seem very high, so this makes a lot of sense for him to do. We'll just have to see if it ends up paying off.
And we'll see if penguin8r wants to join us for an interview shortly. Going straight to Zod. It's like, take care of that.
I like this routing, given you still have to finish your 2 objectives here. Go ahead and do this one first and find out if it's your Sid, and then if it is your pigtail, you already have it. So, avoid visiting that location twice.
Yeah, Rattail can't give you everything in this case, so
exactly.
Might as well here and maybe get it all taken care of. And yes, we are joined by penguin8r. GG, congratulations.
Thank you. Popped in the wrong chat for a second there. I think I was on the wrong chat.
No worries. All is well. So, looked like you'd think maybe with a Magma Star that you could get off and running, and you certainly had a lot of things to choose from, but it took a while to get the objectives to line up with how much was actually hanging out on the moon. Any part in the early going or mid going where you started to feel nervous about how much time had gone by and not having many objectives ticked off?
Mainly early on, it felt a little rough, having not the strongest party, especially with an early magma key like that. It feels like the seed often comes down to how quickly you can get out of the early game and get a strong party. And just it took a while finding decent items for the characters that I had, and also getting the X-Cal Cecil, which is really the big power up, came much later.
Yeah,
go ahead. I was gonna say, just kind of looking actually at the objective list you got right at the start of the game, was there any kind of 4 you were saying, yeah, these are the ones I'd like to get to first, or were you just kind of wait and see what the seed gave you to kind of figure that out on the fly?
It's mostly just wait and see how they play out. So I was kind of hoping for an early Sid, because with the starting Dwarfax, he usually is pretty strong for the first few fights. But of course never actually found the Sid at all.
Yep, definitely. Kind of just towards the end there where you were running, you had that Earth Crystal in hand, you had that Rat Tail in hand. We saw the preemptive size. I imagine the plan was there. All you were looking for was that Golbez, otherwise you were eating resets and heading back to the blue planet. Was that what you were thinking?
Yeah, definitely. I almost didn't want to do any fights until I found the Golbez. But there's
really?
still, I needed at least one more key item, so unless they were both on the same altar, then or doing giant, but so basically I needed to do some fight.
At any point, dude, going to giant enter your mind? Were you feeling maybe behind, you need to take what you thought was a risky play, or that seemed like a good play to you at any point?
I didn't think that there's really any scenario I do that unless it comes down to the last character check.
Yeah, it's so long and that so many other better ways to try and find a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this puts you at 4-1-1, which is a nice 14-point total. It's going to get you out of the play-in round, and there's a good chance you end up with a 12-point opponent in the first round, giving you that free win in the first fight. Bet that feels good.
Yeah, it'll certainly be nice if it works out that way. Like, I didn't have the hardest path through the Swiss rounds. Getting the tie early, I think, made things a little bit easier on me. Just the way it happened that Eisen was probably my toughest opponent. Of course, he's a really strong runner, not to downplay anyone else, but he's just been good since the beginning for Enterprise.
Definitely. Have you already started, say, practicing on those bracket seeds, or have you been focusing still on Swiss flag set until you're out of this round?
I've practiced a little on the brackets, not enough to feel comfortable yet.
Excellent. So I guess what's kind of your plan then in getting that preparation for the next set of races?
Just doing some more practice runs. I think the early game especially can be a lot tougher on the bracket flags with less loot, less characters with the dupes off.
Yeah, the Cell Zero has gotten everyone's attention, but if you're a old hand at Football Gauntlet, as you are, you know some of the rude things, no dupes and no free characters can put in.
Yeah, and so, some of the practice seeds I've done, it seems like it's almost an hour to get underground. And it's actually ordeal spots can be really rough if you don't have a strong party early on.
Yep, definitely.
Last thoughts or questions?
Yeah. So say Penguin8r, anything else you thought on the seed you want to talk about?
Not really. GG's to Bursik, and thanks everyone for helping out behind the scenes and on commentary.
Sure. Thank you very much for putting on a very exciting race for us today.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
All right. And in the meantime, Bursik has sure enough shown us that there was an alternate route here to the end game. Sid was waiting in Tower of Zot. And that gave him his fourth objective, and then turned in the rat tail to find that pigtail, finishing out third objective. So he is now in go mode and heading off to Zeromus.
And although this is going to unfortunately put Bursik out of the tournament, getting to 3-3 in this tournament is nothing to sneeze at, and he'll probably finish about 10 minutes behind Penguin8r, which is a good showing. Penguin8r showed off why he's regarded as one of the best here. There's a ladder coming up soon that Bursik, I believe, is registered for, and I expect he'll be doing great things in it.
Yeah, definitely. He's shown really good play here. He had a very hard matchup here against Penguin8r, but still ended up showing really good. And I think you're right. Finishing within about 10 minutes, Penguin8r is showing just really strong play, good decision making there, knowledge of how to take on bosses in many different locations. Definitely some good play overall here from Bursik.
Yeah, the one time I crossed swords with Penguin8r was back in Freemus, and I think he got.
Sure. Bursik here, also quite high levels, so probably feeling fairly confident in his fight. Same party here as Penguin8r, so we'll probably be seeing those similar pretty high damage numbers. And so hopefully the fight will just go nice and smooth for him, but it's Zeromus. There's always a chance something mean will come out.
Yeah, I think it looks like Rosa's about to zerk herself, though, and that's that heroin road coming into play.
Yep, has kept that on for the entirety of the seed. Does let Rosa hit just as hard as many of these other more traditional physical fighters. And so, hey, an extra source of the DPS in this fight means, hey, get through it faster. And if you are doing just damage fast enough, you don't even have to sometimes deal with that full strength big bang, as we saw from Penguin8r's fight.
Yeah, when you're going high level for Zeromus, that's the plan. To have so much power that you don't worry about healing. You just push straight through.
And we'll see if we do get the Quint Zerk here. You know, what else is Tella going to do if you have some opportunity? I guess we'll just need a nuke. That's actually a pretty good, pretty useful thing for Tella to do.
For getting through the fight, for our meme hopes of a Quint Zerk, I think the dream is dead.
Much like Tella. As well as we do have some decent dart equipment here. Once Cecil goes ahead and takes the Excal off to put on the Avenger for Berserk status, well, the Excal is now free to be darted for a few thousand points of damage, so why not do that?
Yeah, 7,700. But yeah, Badger might not have to get in on the drunken party, and he just might be busy keeping a clear, throwing these weapons with ninja-like precision.
You know, make some space in the inventory for the rest of the seed.
From the White Spear. Hey, we've got another one of those ready.
Dart them all out. Definitely it's something to be aware of when you're getting into the Zeromus fight is what you have remaining in your inventory. Darting these high-end weapons can be a really good source of DPS. So even if you happen to not find any good weapons for Edge, he can still end up being really, contribute really well to this fight.
Yeah, and again, not the durability of Yang. Yang at this point would shrug off both the combination of a unnerved and nerfed Big Bang and still be able to get everyone up, but you know, it's hard to argue with the damage output of all of these weapons being thrown into Zeromus' face.
Yeah, and the three other Zerk characters, again, doing multiple thousands of points of damage each, is really getting through this fight quickly.
Yeah, we see a shake, but I think that was before the phase tip, and yep, or no, never mind, we were in phase 2, we're done.
Wow, you have to see rocks. That is a high DPS output.
The rocks.
GG's there. Very well done, very well played. Let's see if he'll join us as well for an interview.
On this flag set, not bad at all for a 17 out of 15, and here he is.
Hey.
Hey, GG's, Bursik. Well done on that.
Thank you.
Definitely well played overall. What were kind of your thoughts there? Maybe starting early on the seed there, seeing that starting party and the Magma Key start.
You know, I immediately thought just to go underground, do my looting there, and that way I can skip things like Dancing Treasury, hopefully, if I find a few good early items. And yeah, I mean, I did that Rosa with that samurai bow and arrow that carried a good portion of overworld, especially with the heroin robe.
Yeah, and especially that heroin robe. I was about to say, you found that in a very thematic location, but not one that's often looked. Have you been full looting that house often on this flag set?
Wait, where was it? I don't remember.
It was in the back spot in Rosa's mom's house.
Oh, it was in her own house.
Yeah.
No, actually, I have not looted Baron much during this tournament. So I think I just wanted to go in there for the early peek at, you know, who was the first boss and the character in Baron Inn. Since I knew I was probably going to go straight underground and not do Dancing right away. So I'm like, okay, well, it was kind of a last minute decision. Just, okay, I'll take the pot. Well, I'll take the house too. And, oh, great.
Definitely paid off. Gave you some very good gear there for Rosa and allowed her to be kind of, you know, your power carry for that early part of the seed until the other rest of your team got online. So it worked out well for you there. I guess, how were you feeling kind of through that seed? I imagine it had to be a little stressful feeling kind of an hour into the seed and really only having one objective being done. Were you feeling like you were behind, or were you feeling like there really wasn't another way through the seed? So I probably am still doing well here.
I felt a little behind.
Sure.
You know, when I found the pan immediately in Fey March, it's like, okay, great. Like, maybe they didn't come down here right away. But then it really just led to like the Luca key, and it's like, well, that's a thread I really can't pull this early. And even when I did, I'm like, I should have thrown stuff at that Venus to speed it up, because that was kind of miserable. It's a really fast spot.
Yeah, makes any spot it's at even longer. So yeah, it's a good dart candidate, but you know, having them on hand for Zeromus didn't turn out terrible.
Yeah. It just, he had too much to throw, so I was actually hoping to quint Zerk Zeromus, but then Tella ate the nuke, and Edge had too much to throw. So
yeah, if you go back and catch the VOD, you'll see us noting that the dream died with the count. So this does unfortunately end your run in the Lali-Ho League, but it was a good run, 3-3, especially with penguin8r among the people you had to face. Nothing to feel bad about. And there's a ladder coming up with some good flag sets in it. Are you going to be a part of that?
Cool. I actually haven't seen that. I will definitely look into it though. Is it kind of the open, you didn't make the bracket kind of thing?
Oh no, it's for anyone, honestly. My understanding, this is
okay.
season of it. There's like 5 different flag sets, but go to that link, everybody. There, have a look.
Yeah, for everyone who is interested, it was just posted in Twitch chat. Do please follow and join us for some excellent free enterprise ladder.
Yeah, one of the flag sets is NHL brackets, so there's that.
Any other thoughts kind of on this seed? Anything else you were thinking through going through? Anything else you kind of want to talk to us about? Maybe just about the flag set in general?
I've seen like double or sometimes triple value at places, and this was definitely an exception. Double or triple it from the like an objective standpoint. I mean, it was funny to see that Luca Key ended up being both halves of Forge, which after I was up and got the item in off of Radia's mom, I was like, oh, wait, this was both? Wait, oh. Okay, great. Let's go. But yeah, and I mean, this wasn't the case. Required moon. I'm glad I found the items. I'm glad I found the rat tail before the Earth Crystal. Otherwise, I was going to know about if I found the Earth Crystal. Yeah, no, it's been fun. And I look forward to seeing how the brackets turn out. And thanks to all you and the entire Restream team for helping restream all these races.
Thanks to you for putting on a very exciting race for us, and definitely GG's there. That was really well done on your part, and a 3-3 record is very good here, as there's a very strong group of racers here who are in this league, so pulling off a 3-3 record is very, very well done.
Thanks.
All
And
right.
that's going to bring our broadcast here to a close, but we are not done with Lali-Ho League today. Over on Randomania 3, we've got a race that's going to be starting up. The channel's gone live, we're just in our delay, and so we're going to head over there. Reminder, no spoilers.
Yep. Thanks everyone for joining us today for this race, and thanks for the entire Restream team here, Harump and Asuka doing Restream and Tracker, and Commander for joining me for commentary. It was a lot of fun.
I had a blast too, Klopfer. Thanks for being here with me. Go follow all those fine people if you aren't already. The racers, the commentary team, you'll see good stuff.